Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We typically start off with dashboards, and with our continuous authorization monitoring and our risk, there's many dashboards out of the box. Instead of walking everyone through the details of dashboards, I tend to prefer to talk about the greater value the dashboards bring, because we've assembled a lot of capabilities here, as you can see. These dashboards really are kind of a miniature framework of themselves, and they're extremely flexible. It's very easy to bring data from across the entire platform and visualize it together: operational data, cyber data, RMF, et cetera. And we designed this to empower the business community so that they can own and operate this without necessarily having to have the help of IT and development. So this is our continuous authorization and monitoring application. And this is really where we're defining the authorization boundary. As you can see, we give you the opportunity to define specific roles. We have some out of the box, but of course, to create new roles and new fields truly is as easy as hitting that button and typing in the name of the field I want. If you have a specific role that needs to be in there, it's a cake to add. Then we define the boundary itself. Now, a big source of feedback we got from our customers was that they currently find their networks and their boundaries for RMF purposes really based on artifacts, based on Word documents. They would have teams of people go out and probe around and say, this is what the network looks like. And they would write it down using words into a Word document. And they said that, pretty often that Word document would be obsolete by the time they finished building all this out. And they wanted a dynamic perspective of what their boundary looked like. So here we're leveraging our CMDB. And what we're doing is we're defining filters against the CMDB and saying, hey, our boundary consists of these types of things within our enterprise. As you can see, you can have multiple filters, and these filters can have multiple conditions in them as well. So I said, hey, if our network discovery processes of our IT operations folks out there, they're out there discovering things, moving things around, and updating the CMDB. As a security team, as an RMF team, let's leverage that real-time visibility. And if anything pops up with this IP address range, we know that that's part of our boundary. And another example, I did a little bit more simply. I said, if something pops up within this data center as a whole, if the location of that IT asset is this location, it's part of our boundary. And these are showing off our ability to relate data and understand these relationships of IT assets. We then rationalize those filters down and say, hey, these are the 45 IT systems that we caught from those, including any systems that we manually tailored in. So this is how we're giving you the ability to understand what's in your boundary from a real-time perspective. That theme of visibility is so key when it comes to your assets, and we're taking advantage of that capability in the ServiceNow platform. So here's a package we've actually started off. This one has already gone through the prepare stage, and so we've already done our privacy threshold analysis. One of our answers triggered the need for an impact assessment. That impact assessment was sent out to the correct individual automatically, and the results to that assessment are displayed right here. Right? So again, removing platform, creating instant traceability. Within categorization, we've defined our information types. Out of the box, we're giving you approximately 100 different information types, but you can create your own ITs as necessary. And these information types each carry their own impact rating. We can tailor that impact per information type. So we can tailor at a very, very precise level here. And I can override one of the impacts. These combined with the PIA create our system impact, and I can override that as well with the justification. And of course, we can wrap a whole series of approvals and processes behind this. And then ultimately, I arrive at my system impact level. Then it's time to select our controls. We can apply control overlays, and you can create your own control overlays. The system applies the baseline controls straight out of 853 and 837, and we can start tailoring these controls. I can take a control and say, yep, I need to implement that one. Or I can say that this one will not be implemented, in which case it moves over here, and I can very quickly and easily see which ones are not being implemented. I can choose to inherit controls from other systems, in which case I get full visibility of that control I'm inheriting. So I'm not inheriting controls with discomfort. When that system exists as another boundary within ServiceNow, we can give you the full insight into their compliance, their test results, their issues, their monitoring that you would have of your own so that you can inherit with comfort. As the system and the packet moves up into the implement stage, now we've kind of rationalized all of those controls and that tailoring down into the actual controls that need to be applied. And this is where the system owner would start actually implementing. We can test the status of the implementation with attestations and ask the system owner, are these controls in place? Are you ready for an assessment? When it moves into the assessment phase, we leverage our audit engagement module. This is an audit engagement, and this is where we are defining that punch list of work that needs to be done to effectively assess all the controls, whether that control is a technical test or an interview or a review. So as you can see, there's a lot of metadata around here with resource allocation, resource planning, and how to actually manage the overall engagement. We have some test plans where we're going in and we're teaching that control assessor how to test a particular control. Now, these test plans don't always exist, right? And for a lot of the routine technologies, the assessors are really the experts in how to assess these things. But we're finding that when customers are dealing with new technologies, operational tech, IoT, or just new systems to their environments, that being able to provide that very prescriptive guidance to the control assessors allows them to not only do those tests more effectively, but faster with less confusion around how to go about it. Now, in this case, all I did was I brought in NIST's own test information from 853. It's not particularly detailed. It really just says, well, you can test, you can observe, you can review this control. But the data is in there to show you how it works. We take the entities that we're testing against, in this case, the boundary, that control library, and then we rationalize all of this down into the actual test for the SCAs. So we're giving them that punch list. Now, the benefit to them, of course, is they get some new order, from chaos brings order to their environment. But you and your staff get visibility into the actual progress of these, right? How much of this work has been completed? When do we expect this to be done? Are we making progress? And what's our current status? So as they go through and they test these controls, they're updating the platform real time, and we can see the results of those tests. So we can say, hey, we already have a few problems here that are being generated. And so that brings it all, again, with that very low level fidelity, but brings it all up into the high level of visibility. And finally, we move into the authorization stages, which really is, at that point, it's a review and an adjudication stage, and then into monitor. Now, when you authorize, of course, you can do that more traditional time-based authorization that the world wants to evolve off of, or you can authorize on an ongoing basis. And one of the really key aspects of this is going back to that platform, as opposed to reviewing based off of artifacts, which may very well be obsolete by the time they reach an AO's desk. You can review based on real-world data. So you can see here that I'm looking at this boundary, and I'm seeing all of the controls, right? I have access to the test results and the compliance data right here. I have my POAMs. I know what vulnerabilities are on the system right now. Even if those vulnerabilities were found during the last 2 weeks while my team was building documentation, we can bring in software asset information, any sort of information from across the ServiceNow platform, or that we can bring into the platform. We can bring together here to give you that true visibility into what's going on with this system. And then since at this point, we've really kind of transformed the entire RMF process, we've brought it out of that very kinetic manual world, this common operating platform, we can actually do things like generate the SSP for you automatically. Because we have all of the knowledge in the platform now. And we can generate other types of artifacts as well. And we can even build out API integrations. If you say, hey, I need to take this information and shove it up into this upward reporting system over here, we can generate the artifacts automatically and then automatically upload them into other systems as necessary. So that's the high-level walkthrough of how we've taken the ServiceNow platform, taken our integrated risk management, and we've brought it together specifically for RMF.